The government's tax take was 3.2% ahead of target for the first 2 months of the year. Business journalist Gavin McLaughlin says the returns from corporate tax have come as quite a surprise.
Quite interesting if you break it down, because income tax, which is the biggest single segment, that came in at 3.98 billion, but that was actually behind target, 3.3% behind target. And our old friend corporation tax, 583 million in total, 117.2% ahead of target.
And a Texas office block nicknamed the Leaning Tower of Dallas after surviving a demolition attempt last month has finally been destroyed. It's been a hit on social media, with Instagram users flocking to the site to pose for pictures. The demolition firm finished the job yesterday after a fortnight of work with a 2-ton wrecking ball. It's 7:02.
News Talk Weather.
Thanks to the AA. For great value van insurance, go to the AA.ie.
Dry early on tonight, but cloud building in the west and southwest will spread across the country overnight. Some rain's expected in the Midlands and south. Some may fall as sleet, with temperatures dipping to between 2 degrees and -1. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
Welcome along. Tuesday's Off the Ball. Republic of Ireland manager Vera Pauw is on the show this evening ahead of Ireland's huge game. 5,300 tickets sold, by the way, at Tallaght Stadium against Greece on Thursday. Meanwhile, Enda McGinley, 3-time All-Ireland winner, Nicky Brennan, former GAA president, will join us after 8 o'clock after the violence in the tunnel at Healy Park. We are going to very simply ask, when is the GAA going to take this sort of behaviour seriously and stamp it out the way other sports have? The GAA lags behind, whether it wants to admit it or not. And then football show Liverpool-Chelsea in the FA Cup. We will have as well our designated Nations League correspondent Kevin Kilban joining us after 9 o'clock to explain the Nations League. What more could you want? 53106 at Off the Ball. Nathan Murphy will be there to hear that explanation.
I cannot wait.
So we're promising not to talk about his engagement. Is that the general plan? Richie McCormack, hello.
I'm engaged.
No, I don't think contractually we've agreed to that. We do have numbers and targets to hit, so if we can get a little bit of goss, we may get on the Daily Mail.
Again,
remember,
that's key.
We didn't get in the Daily Mail last time.
We did not get in with this. We didn't get within a sniff of the Daily Mail,
which is quite shocking. It's a damning indictment on the two of us and our showbiz skills, because everything. He goes on Loose Women 2 days later. It's all over the Daily Mail, and we did him for a full half an hour. We didn't get one decent bit of goss.
I felt we got more out of him than Loose Women did.
Oof. Well, he was only on Loose Women for like 7 minutes.
Yes.
Most of that is them talking at them.
I felt we got more, but the Daily Mail weren't paying attention to Off the Ball on that occasion.
Need to start tagging them in our tweets.
We should have emailed them.
We should have.
That's how it's done.
Secretly.
Press release. Yeah.
Tonight, maybe.
So Vera Pauw on the way. 5,300 tickets sold for the Tallaght Stadium on Thursday's a big game. Enda McGinley and Nicky Brennan on the way after 8 o'clock. Dismayed, I think, at the general reaction following Healy Park. I appreciate Mickey Hart and Desi Farrell here are going to look after their own camps. We can't expect them to lead the way on this, but Mickey Hart, for instance, I didn't see too much, just a lot of bodies. Maybe that was a good thing. Nobody could do much damage to each other. Desi Farrell, all I'll say is we came up here to play football. Needless what happened at half-time, but I couldn't see it. Brian Howard today, in my opinion, nothing in it. Just two teams, two competitive teams. You come in, it's a drawn game. The conditions, both teams aren't playing well. Hot tempers, but there shouldn't be any repercussions for either team.
That's nonsense.
Later on he said, I was already in the dressing room at the time, so I don't actually know what went on and I haven't looked back at it. But again, no repercussions. The GPA, nothing. Zilch, GPA, welfare of their players. I appreciate they may not want to condemn their own players as well, but nothing from the GPA. And we got on to the GAA. There's an investigation ongoing, so they can't comment, no comment. I accept that as well, that they're still at those stages.
How about stuff like this is an opportunity for the GPA to actually lead the way, regardless of whether the players are members or not, and say, this is not acceptable behaviour from our members. Like any other line of work would distance themselves from something stupid that if you were to go out and start brawls in the middle of Grafton Street for no reason over the course of tonight, first thing you'd hear is, Off the Ball would like to distance themselves from anything that John Molloy has done in lamping a load of people on Grafton Street. You just kind of expect it. The fact that they'd say nothing and just kind of go, sure, we'll wait for this to blow over.
Slightly different dynamic. The GPA are a union. What unions ever criticise their members? If the GPA were to come out, I would expect it to say, why were our members put in a position in a tunnel where there were backroom staff, supporters. Why was the referee, why were the officials not holding one team back? That they would be little or no pressure put on
I think you're
their
right.
own players.
Yeah.
It looks as though that there'll be no individual punishments.
It seems that the video footage from the phone above the brawl is inadmissible. Again, that's fair enough. They have their protocol, and that the footage from across the pitch, the TV pictures, are inconclusive. It's dark. It's hard to see who's doing what, although you can see the ferocity of the punches. And the reason we got Enda McGinley on, by the way, is that we had him on 2.5 years ago. Do you remember there were just like a spate of incidents being caught on camera phones from local GAA matches?
Yeah.
There was like Ballyholland, Downpatrick, which ended up in the car park. And then there was Stewartstown and Strabane and Tyrone. There was Slotneil and Ballindarry. There was an Armagh and Tyrone under-20s game. It was just, there was a period where it felt like it was one every 2 or 3 weeks. So we talked to Enda McGinley then. And I remember him, he works in the medical profession, talking about one-punch fatalities. And is this alarmist, extremist, sensationalist to bring that up? People may argue it is, but equally we're talking about a game of Gaelic football. And I had a look today. There's an organisation in the UK called One Punch Can Kill. So they have recorded in the 10 years between 07 and 17, 80 one-punch fatalities in the UK between 07 and 2017. So 10 years, 8 people every year dying from one punch. Northern Ireland, between 04 and 16, 12 years. In Northern Ireland, 23 people have died from one-punch attacks. I couldn't find figures for the Republic of Ireland. I would presume it's some way in keeping with that. I was looking at a BBC News report. There was a Duncan Bew who works at King's College Hospital in their trauma department. He said you can die one of 3 ways from one punch. Blow itself will cause fatal damage to the brain. Number 2, physiological response will be caused whereby people stop breathing and the brain is starved of oxygen. Or third way, and this is not unrelated to what happened at Healy Park, punch causes a person to lose consciousness. They strike their head on a hard surface. The impact is similar, he said, to being hit over the head with a block of concrete. So again, worst case scenario, unlikely, but the question has to be asked of the GAA, considering other sports have cleaned up their act. What are you waiting for?
Why facilitate the worst case scenario? Which is what's happening now. Yeah.
How do you stop it?
Well, Nicky Brennan, I know, and we'll talk to him after 8 o'clock, he is not against a rule going into the GAA whereby it says if you get involved in an incident like this as a team, it's within the rules for your team to be turfed out of the competition. That's how seriously it could be taken. And let's put that rule in now, as opposed to, well, an incident like this happens, we have to respond to it and react to it and get reactionary. Let's just put the rule in, take it seriously. So that's one. And you're like, because one of the things is that social pressure plays a part. You know, if your mate said to you, I'm going to drink drive tonight, I'm going to have 4 or 5 pints and I'll go driving, I suspect you would say,
don't be an idiot.
Correct. And in the GAA, I suspect in the main, local level and intercounty level, if you get into a fight with the rivals next door, poke the head off some lad, and you go into the GAA bar the next week, you're not shunned. Not necessarily. Some might say, not great, but if you've got your team kicked out of the competition for behaving like an idiot, that adds a layer of social pressure. So that's part of the conversation too. But like, ultimately, whatever the sanction is, it just has to be really strong, and it has to not be it has to be concrete enough that it's not turfed out by the DRA or in court some night. And the thing that bugs me about it is it's almost presented as being intrinsic to the GAA and this unfixable thing. And you look, it's a physical game. Tempers are up. Like, rugby doesn't have this stuff going on routinely, or if it does, it's a big deal. And
I still, like, when we touched on it last night, I think one of the GAA's biggest problems is that it's an all-in mentality. It's not restricted to players. So quite often we see rugby players grappling and it looks bad, but then when you look at the replays, there's no punches thrown. Yeah. It's a lot of pulling and dragging. But you don't see fans jumping over, getting involved. And I think at local level, at club level, that's what happens when these sort of scraps. Even that, you couldn't make out who was backroom staff, who were supporters, who was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Was there a child running down into the tunnel at the time who suddenly got squashed in the middle of this? You just don't know what's going to happen. But it's part of the GAA. And I suspect a large majority of the reaction to this piece tonight will be, you're a bit soft, lads.
Yeah.
Just let him at it. Nobody got hurt. What's the problem?
100%.
Nobody got hurt.
100%. I'm doing that piece and I'm getting ready for those comments on Twitter. But I don't care because, like, I grew up playing GAA. I love GAA. I played it till I was 20. I have been involved in those incidents. You get dragged into them. Now, admittedly, at minor level where it's not as big a deal at senior level and you probably can't cause as much harm. But I understand how it happens. And I'm not saying you need to come down like a ton of bricks on lads who are grabbing each other by the jerseys in a kind of, like in rugby, which seems to happen a lot. Talking about what happened at Healy Park, like, you could see the punches being thrown.
Well, it's the brushing it aside and we all move on to next weekend, that there'll be a fine for both counties, I'd imagine, is what the end result of this will be.
That's it. That's the sense in the papers today.
And it'll happen again in the next couple of weeks, and there'll be another fine, and then we laugh about it come the summer of, oh, you remember the last time Dublin went up to Omagh? Oh.
Yeah. Charles in Dublin 12. Joe, like you're like a bunch of L1s doing your knitting, trying to make something out of a bit of a dust-up. Move on. Lads, Nicky Brennan's right. Collective punishment the only way to go. If your temper gets your teammates kicked out of the championship, they'll be reining lads in pretty quickly, says Noel. There'll be that selection.
Yeah, I just don't understand how it's so accepted.
I know. I think it's romanticised. It's you know, when men were men, and it's part of the folklore, and it shows how much you care, and it's all that stuff. And in the main, yeah, nothing too serious tends to happen. But why wait and why allow it to continue? Something out of nothing is what Charles in Dublin 12 reckons. I suspect lots of people will agree. Grant. So we'll talk about that after 8 o'clock. Nicky Brennan, Enda McGinley on the way. In the meantime, Wales.
Bloody Wales.
Bloody Wales.
Bloody Wales. Well, the thing about this draw is, and the way it's constructed, there's always a 1 in 4 chance we're going to come across one of these yahoos again. But the Republic of Ireland have once again been drawn with Wales in the UEFA Nations League. Stephen Kenny, of course, will be in charge when the competition gets underway in September. And joining Ireland and Wales in Group 4 of League B will be Finland and Bulgaria. The competition's fixtures are to be revealed later this evening. Elsewhere, Northern Ireland drawn with Norway, Austria and Romania. England's opponents are Belgium, Iceland and Denmark. And Scotland will meet Slovakia, the Czech Republic and Israel, who they actually play in next month's Euro 2020 playoff as well. Speaking of the playoffs, Mick McCarthy says Seamus Coleman is out of the game with Slovakia. The captain picked up a quad injury in Sunday's Premier League draw with Manchester United. McCarthy, though, says Jack Byrne's given him plenty to think about ahead of the game in Bratislava. Byrne scored the winner for Shamrock Rovers in Friday's 3-2 win over Dundalk, which McCarthy was present, of course, but he missed the goal, admitting that he saw it on his phone afterwards. While the manager left before that goal, he says he was most impressed by Byrne's use of the ball on the night.
That sounds very promising for Jack Byrne. Strange day for Mick McCarthy.
Yeah, a bizarre scenario where he had to turn up even though he's not involved.
But he didn't have to turn up.
His goals were interesting in that it was also a good draw.
Really good draw.
Really good draw. Like, if you can't win this group, you
can't get it
really,
accurate.
what are you at? What are you at?
They genuinely didn't have to send him, because I know there's this diktat that managers in charge have to be present. Scotland just said, fears the coronavirus, Steve Clarke's not going. And Steve Clarke's not there.
That's everyone's taken out of everything at the moment.
But why put McCarthy in that situation?
Yeah. You're on for a pint on Friday night. Oh, jeez. How many people will be there? Nah, couldn't risk it. Anyone from Glasgow? Nah, I'm definitely not.
No,
I'm bringing back the Zika virus.
Jeez.
Have people come around to the Nations League yet?
I have.
I saw it was not a success the first time round.
Yeah,
I think it was a
absolutely
massive
was.
success.
Yeah.
But I still get the sense that people don't understand how important it is. Like, one of the great things of the Nations League is it has this massive knock-on effect.
Yeah.
So from an Irish point of view, if they were to win this group, so we know qualifying for the next World Cup is going to be unbelievably difficult. You put yourself in a far better position if you win your group.
Yeah.
You're going to be one of the top 2 seeds for the draw for the World Cup, and you're pretty much guaranteed a playoff place.
Yeah.
You lose, you're going to drop down the seedings for the World Cup, for the next European Championship. Like, if it goes as badly as the last Nations League draw, like the ramifications for Stephen Kenny are going to be huge, because the knock-on effect for the next 4 years,
Yeah.
they're going to have to live with it.
Dan McDonnell laid it all out very well today in the Independent, and he was just saying, you know, the Euros, 24 teams qualify. With the World Cup from Europe, just 13 teams go through, and you have 10 groups, 10 winners go through. That won't be us. We're not going to win our group realistically. So then you have the 10 runner-ups going into some kind of playoff situation, and it gets a bit complicated then. But if you don't make it through that way, you just get a complete second free hit probably if you win your Nations League group. That is not something Ireland can turn their nose up at.
You go in, well, So those 10 runners-up, you go in with those 10 runners-up. So only 2 teams will come from the Nations League. So you'll have 12 teams basically battling for 3 spots at the World Cup. So they'll go into those sort of, much like this, 14 playoffs, and you need to win that. Like, it's still going to be, we've spoken about this before, the expectation for any manager should be you have to qualify for the European Championship. And you need to get close to qualifying for a World Cup. Yeah. But you cannot be judged on qualifying for a World Cup.
So Wales are 23rd in the world rankings. We are 34th in the world rankings. Bulgaria 59, Finland 58.
Well, we played Bulgaria, you might remember. The night of Stewie Byrne and his joke.
Send in your jokes, Joe.
Send in your jokes. In the friendly.
Hang on, let me try to remember the joke. Can you remember the joke?
Huja Nikabalikov.
Ah, yes. Yes.
That was until Jack Byrne came on at half time.
The highlight
of the game. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because I'd really pushed for us to do that game.
You wanted that
I really didn't want to come into the office. It was my main memory.
Yeah. I knew Byrne.
Lads, I've got 10 minutes work if we do the game live.
But at half time, I was thinking, Huja Nikabalikov, I'm in trouble. I'm going to have to justify this tomorrow.
That was the highlight. We won 3-1. They were terrible.
They're terrible. I watched them recently against England as well, and they're poisonous.
Yeah, they're gone. So we'll beat Bulgaria. Finland, I don't know too much about.
Well, we haven't played Finland in
Wales.
20 years nearly at this stage.
It's 18 years. Graham Parrott played the last time we played them. Yeah.
Similar ranking to Bulgaria. I just had a glance back. Ireland's Republic, highest ever ranking. 6th of August 1993, the halcyon days. What was Ireland's? Be realistic now.
7th.
Highest ever ranking.
12th.
6th.
Wow. Jeez, that was close.
We were hot. Yeah, you were. Good guess. Yeah.
Might be awkward when Kilban comes on when we're doing our bit of Bulgaria nostalgia. 2 things from the last time we played Bulgaria competitively. So the game in Sofia, I remember we started, it was a roasting hot June bank holiday. Started Caleb Folan up alongside Robbie Keane.
Good times.
1-1, 15 minutes to go. And Trapattoni brought on Leon Best in place of Robbie Keane in desperate search of a winner. Finished 1-0. Oh. The home game, Kilban scored an own goal.
Did he?
It was a dreadful game, the home game, actually. I was at that Croker. It was not the nadir of the Trapattoni thing, but it was a baseline of what Trapattoni's era was all about.
If Stephen Kenny can get through this Nations League without having a 1-1 draw, I think we'll all just rejoice.
Did we ever have a great night at Croke Park?
Oh,
very nearly did against Italy.
Italy was as close as it gets.
Yeah.
You may need to get Kilban on earlier than 9 if you want him to fully explain the Nations League, says Gavin. I mean, it will be an experience. Hi lads, rugby players are no saints either. That's true, and there was a dig thrown in the Scarlets Munster game at the weekend, so I do accept that. Rugby players no saints either, and their level of anger quite evident when things kick off. It's very clear, however, that all the players know what they can and can't do and what sanctions they will get for transgressing. They will pull and drag all day, but almost never swing a punch. GA lads lose the plot and everybody bails in.
There's an awareness, it seems, especially at European Six Nations level, that they're on camera. And if they are on camera, they know that the citing commissioner is going to knock on their shoulder and say, listen, you're up for punching the head off their tight head. We'll see you at a disciplinary meeting via video link next Wednesday. That doesn't seem to happen to the same degree in GA at all.
Here's the point from Steve, and this is how what happened at Healy Park drips down to local level. And we've all seen the videos from local matches on our phones, which go around ad nauseum. Was at a Dublin club match on Sunday. Full forward and defender watching the game as ball at the far end of the pitch. Defender turns around, floors the forward with a punch on the side of the head, and no one gives a shit. It's just seen as meh. Unbelievable, macho, cowardly bullshit, says Steve.
Yeah, that's not right. I do probably slightly disagree with you in part of this, in that I am firmly of the belief that what happens on the pitch, and there should be sanctions.
Yeah.
I think where the GAA is just totally different to every other sport is this all-in attitude that supporters can somehow get involved, backroom staff can get involved, that it's not just the 15 players, there's the 15 substitutes, there's 10 backroom staff, and suddenly you have this.
Oh, the backroom staff are out of control. There's no doubt. Like Currafin Kilcoo a couple of weeks ago.
No repercussions.
Some lad hopped over the railing at Croke Park in the All-Ireland Club football final. I don't know if anything came of it.
Again, it was that overview.
Yeah. So we'll talk after 8 o'clock. I'm interested to see, Nicky Brennan's going to be on what they tried, what he tried as GAA president, what Congress tried, what's realistic regarding disciplinary measures. So, news from the Olympics?
Yeah. Pretty much your nightly coronavirus update now. The International Olympic Committee have encouraged all athletes to continue preparations for Tokyo 2020. It follows claims from Japan's Olympic Minister Seiko Hashimoto that the Games could be moved to later in the year as a result of fears surrounding the coronavirus outbreak. Meanwhile, following a meeting of the IOC's Executive Board, they've expressed their full commitment to the Games going ahead as planned from July 24th to August 9th. Thomas Bach is the IOC President.
Following the regular information from this task force, which consists of the IOC, the organizing committee, the host city of Tokyo, the government of Japan, and in particular the World Health Organization, we remain very confident with regard to the success of these Olympic Games Tokyo 2020.
Something that is on the move, the Champions League last 16 return leg between Valencia and Atalanta will be played behind closed doors as a precaution against the spread of the coronavirus. Next Tuesday's game sees the Serie A side arrive in Spain with a 4-1 lead. Spain's health minister has recommended all sporting events in the country with a high attendance should take place behind closed doors. And England prop Mako Vunipola is in self-isolation because of coronavirus fears. The move is merely a precaution. He recently flew back from Tonga via Hong Kong and will miss Saturday's Six Nations game with Wales.
I should mention, by the way, that half the off-the-ball team are taking on the Swim for a Mile Challenge.
Are you getting on, Joe?
By Swim Ireland. The challenge itself supporting Temple Street Children's University Hospital Foundation. Nathan Murphy, one of those off-the-ball members.
I said, how are you getting on with the swim, Joe?
Good. If people want to get involved, Nathan, they go to swimforamile.com. How are you getting on, more to the point?
Oh, we're halfway there.
The traps on you, Nathan.
How many lengths in a mile?
64?
Of a 25 metre.
Yeah.
It's not nothing.
So the technical side of it has gone well. We had Bethany Carson, who was a highly successful Irish swimmer, down yesterday showing us a few more little tricks of the trade.
See, I have a bit more respect for this challenge because when we were doing the triathlon and you lads were droning on about doing a 5K for about 3 months, I thought that was embarrassing, frankly.
Well, you were droning on about doing a 750 metre swim, which we're now doing as a warm-up.
In open water. Bit different. Come back to me when you've done it.
You've got the tide with you for half it.
Oh, you've got lads kicking you in the head for the other half of it. Anyway, I didn't drone on as much. The 5K boys, I thought really milked it. I got to be honest. But this, I think this is tough.
Yes.
Front crawl all the way?
Absolutely. Well, unless I suddenly need a couple of lengths of breaststroke just to get through it. I don't want to do any guarantees with this. So, yeah, it's just trying to build up the fitness at this stage.
Okay.
But it's been enjoyable. Peter, our coach, is great. Sort of like you feel so much more comfortable now. Like when I look at how I used to swim, and just splashing around the place. It's like the most inefficient way of swimming ever.
Yeah.
Whereas now we kind of just glide through the pool.
If you do say so.
If I do say so myself, it's just a thing of beauty.
You glide through the water.
Just glide through the water.
I had Stephen Doyle yesterday. I was getting a coffee explaining to me the importance of not having the fingers on his hand spread going through the water.
Well, how can you drag the water back? And you don't want your hand perfectly straight. You want it
cupped.
Sort of like cupped, so you can drag the water back behind you and propel yourself forward.
I'm not saying I found the science part difficult. I was surprised this was a revelation to Stephen Doyle.
You're some man to be thrown out abuse.
Unbelievably hard.
Oh dear.
Sitting on the sidelines.
I'll be cheering you on.
Don't bother.
Okay.
You're not welcome.
Fine.
We'll be perfectly fine without you.
When is this on?
I think we've got another 5 weeks. 5 weeks of training.
And will you do the 64 lengths before you actually do it for real?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
64 is decent. What's a good time for 64 lengths?
I suspect around, I don't know what a good time is. I suspect it'll take 40 to 45 minutes.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, that's tougher than the triathlon swim for sure.
But you can take a break. Like, you're not going to be thrown out of it if you suddenly stop.
Okay.
So if you do 20 lengths and go, I'm going to just take a break for 40 seconds and go again.
Fair enough. And
nobody's going to abuse you for it unless you're there, Joe, it seems.
Yeah, no, well, the triathlon one was maybe, I can't remember the exact time, but it might have been 20 minutes. So 40 is serious. I've never swam for
double that, I would say.
40 minutes in my life. It's approximately double that.
Exactly, you haven't. So we shall see. Owen Sheehan started out and couldn't swim. I was on the verge of drowning, day one.
Right.
And is now...
gliding through the water.
Oh, well, I wouldn't say he's quite gliding through the water like some of us, but he's doing his lengths.
Okay.
Sensational. It's a very joyous thing to watch somebody learn to swim.
The excitement.
Just Proud of himself.
Any surprising tips of technique tips that you
Well,
liked?
I could tell you, but it seems you know it all already.
I certainly don't. When did I give that impression?
Just there when you were Stephen Doyle was giving you the advice with the
That was just
sort of shoveling the water,
having a dig at
pushing
Stephen
it
Doyle.
backwards. We've done a lot of things with like flippers on your feet to sort of prove how you can glide through the water if you get your foot at the right angle. And then when you take it off, you're like, oh my God, it's so bloody difficult.
Right.
Breathing is the key.
Every 3 strokes, is it?
Whatever rhythm you like to get into, 3 or 4 strokes. But I have a habit still of almost looking to the ceiling when I'm breathing. So I'm like, oh, I may never breathe again. Get as much in. Whereas you need to leave one goggle in. One goggle in the water is the key.
I don't know that.
So you're just turning and one goggle is in, and then going backwards towards your shoulder. Deep breath, and off you go again. Whereas I'm like this massive.
Get this head out of the water.
Yeah. But it takes a lot of practice because when you're doing that first, you're just swallowing water when you're trying to breathe in, which is not fun.
Yeah. Very good. Swimforamile.com is where people can...
Now, we're going to annoy you about this for the next 5 weeks.
Good, yeah.
You should sign up, Joe. There's still time. You're off swimming all the time. It'd be easy for you, wouldn't it?
I don't think so. Genuinely.
There's still time. You can join.
I don't know about doing 64 odd lengths. That's a decent clip. No. Full of admiration.
Thanks.
Full of admiration. Liverpool then.
Yeah, looking to atone for Saturday's Premier League defeat to Watford. Jurgen Klopp side away to Chelsea in the 5th round of the FA Cup. Both sides have put out relatively strong teams tonight. Kepa Arrizabalaga returns in goal for Chelsea, who then have a back 4 of Cesar Azpilicueta, Antonio Rudiger, Kurt Zuma and Marcos Alonso. Billy Gilmore is on the right hand side of midfield alongside Mateo Kovacic and Ross Barkley, with Willian and Pedro flanking Olivier Handsome-Giroud. Adrian starts in goal for Liverpool. Nico Williams replaces Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back. From there on, it's pretty familiar, with Virgil van Dijk, Joe Gomez and Andrew Robertson completing the back 4. In midfield, Fabinho, Adam Lallana and the cup winner against Everton, Curtis Jones, Takumi Minamino and Sadio Mane are up front alongside Divock Origi. James Milner, Mo Salah, Roberto Firmino and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain all on the Liverpool bench tonight. Elsewhere, Championship leaders West Brom entertain Newcastle and Reading welcome Sheffield United to the Medeski. Republic of Ireland goalkeeper Kieran O'Hara has been charged by the FA with allegedly biting an opponent. The incident in question happened in Burton's League One game with Peterborough at the weekend. A picture circulated on social media, which you can see on offtheball.com, that appeared to show O'Hara biting the upper arm or shoulder area of Peterborough striker Sami Szmodic. O'Hara has until Friday to respond, and Burton say they will be contesting the charge. Tottenham manager Jose Mourinho meanwhile says Troy Parrott will be on the bench for tomorrow night's FA Cup 5th round tie with Norwich. The 18-year-old scored for Tottenham's under-23s in last night's 3-2 win over Wolves. Parrott's substitute appearance against Wolves on Sunday was his first in the Premier League proper since December, but speaking with reporters ahead of tomorrow's tie, Mourinho insisted Parrott will get his chance to progress at the club.
He has qualities, he has potential, but he's not an ended product. He has a lot to learn. He has a lot to develop at every level. But he's going to be on the bench tomorrow again, and a few minutes. But he played already. He has 2 appearances in the Premier League, which is something that is not very normal with 18-year-old kids. So I think he's a privileged one. And I think in this moment he understands the privilege he has of being training and being part of the first team every day, learning with experienced coaches, with experienced players, with a very good people also in the academy. He's a privileged one, step by step.
I do worry Troy Parrott's becoming that annoying player to a manager that everybody keeps asking about all the time.
If you keep poking somebody about it, they eventually turn around
start to
and
resent that player even more and think, hang on, I'm not going to play Wes Hoolahan. I'm not going to play Troy.
Listen to him talk today. He gave 3 minutes and something of his press conference over to Troy Parrott. I think he has him in mind as somebody who could progress. And he spoke about him in terms of he's coming along. He's just not there.
Yeah.
But the fact that he just didn't... If he was completely dismissive of him, you get a one-word curt answer and goodbye, and can we move on and talk about the game tomorrow, please?
Yeah.
He's getting another substitute appearance tomorrow. He's progressing under Mourinho's watch. He's happy enough to talk about him continually.
Yeah.
He's going to be all right.
Ian Wright gave a big push for Parrott to get more game time actually in Match of the Day.
Former Arsenal legend.
It's not in Mourinho's interests to sabotage Troy Parrott's career or to sabotage his season to somehow prove a point. I think a lot of Irish people are sort of wrapped up in the Mourinho personality of, he's very down, he doesn't help young players progress, and that's going to somehow stall Troy Parrott's development. Like, everything he said there is correct. Like, Troy Parrott's just turned 18.
Yeah,
Spurs are a massive club.
I know. Is there any proof that Nathan Murphy is swimming all these events? Yes, there is. There is a video.
Oh, if I'd known there was going to be a video, I would have agreed to take part.
There's a picture on the Off the Ball Instagram that's just gone up as well, where you can see a topless Nathan Murphy and several topless members of the Off the Ball crew.
Can we get this up on the stream?
No, I don't think there's any need for that really now, is there?
Off the Ball social channels.
I mean, fair play.
Open the stream, please. By the way, I feel like that came out much harsher on Stephen Doyle than I wanted. I'm an instant
no,
remorse
it didn't.
over
You
this.
absolutely meant that.
I did not. One of the great men. I was quite taken with his enthusiasm about the whole thing. More that than anything. Anyway, it was too late now. It's been said. It's been said.
We can just replay the bit that you did say.
Came out all wrong. So if you want to see Nathan Murphy topless, Off the Ball social
fast forward that bit as quick as you can.
Any last story or two?
Last Cheltenham number, I guess. Trainer Henry de Bromhead confirming that the unbeaten Honeysuckle will go in the Mayor's Hurdle at Cheltenham next week. The Irish Champion Hurdle winner has also been entered in the Unibet Champion Hurdle. De Bromhead says it was a tough decision between the races, but he feels the 6-year-old is in great form. Shin Shin?
I think we'll take one more. One
Laois
more.
footballers.
Give us your best one.
Best one. Yeah, Laois footballers, I guess. Handed a boost. Cara Healy's knee injury, not as bad as first feared. The Port Laois defender suffered a suspected third knee cruciate injury in as many years in last month's win over Clare and was expected to miss the rest of the season, but Healy says a scan has shown only partial ligament damage and he'll now meet with a specialist to determine the next steps in his recovery.
So every night this week we are giving away a €100 one for all voucher, and on Saturday grand prize of flights and tickets to the Paddy Power Stayers Hurdle Day next Thursday 12th of March. You're flown to Cheltenham, enjoy breakfast at Jury's Hotel, brought then to the race course, enjoy one of the best days in the racing calendar, transferred back to the airport and flown back to Dublin by nightfall. So quite the day, all with thanks to our Cheltenham partner Paddy Power. To win, just play our game, phony or pony.
Yes.
Okay, where's the sting?
Make a sting.
What does the guy have to do to get a sting? Phony or pony?
Kenny Everett would have made a sting.
It's made for a sting. Even a horse neighing. The rules are simple. Read out three horses' names. This is a good prize, actually. I need to do this properly. You tell us which is the real horse, i.e. the pony. Here are your three names. Tiger Roll, Breakfast Roll, Kitten Soft, Two-Ply Roll.
He's just going through his shopping list.
Sorry, say that again?
Tiger Roll,
Okay.
Breakfast Roll, Kitten Soft.
That's like a question you get in the Late Late Show.
Yeah, it is a bit.
JP Gilbert
We're not
works
making
in
any
Spartan
money from
Oval.
the entries. So, we don't need to make it that easy. That's too easy.
It means us all, JP.
No sting. Too easy a question.
It started so well last night. I was so impressed initially, but
I'll come to what's on the screen in a second. Radio listeners, stay with me. Pick out the real horse from that list. Tiger Roll, Breakfast Roll, or Kitten Soft Two-Ply Roll. Text your name and answer 53106. We'll pick out a winner. You'll go into the draw on Saturday for that brilliant prize between 3 and 5. Again, all with thanks to Paddy Power. Cheltenham's coming home. Radio listeners, you can't see this. People streaming. Just a little shot of the OTB lads topless.
It's just a chance for Tommy Rooney to get his guns out, really, isn't it?
Quite the
That's it.
connection. Nathan Murphy there on the left.
Tommy Rooney, you've never met a greater moaner in all your life.
No,
Every day he
surely
rocks
not.
in with some injury he picked up in football training. Oh, he's up there to Peter, our coach. Oh, how should I rest my hamstring in this drill? It's like, Jesus Christ, it's swimming, just get on with it.
Nathan, I sit behind Tommy in the office. I know how much he moans.
We are done. Good news round.
Any more horse noises you want here?
No. So the plan is we have Nicky Brennan and Enda McGinley after 8 o'clock. Post 9 o'clock, Kevin Kilban's going to join us. We'll also talk about the Bayern Munich Hoffenheim story with Raphael Honigstein, and keep an eye on Chelsea-Liverpool, obviously. And then up next, Ireland against Greece on Thursday. Huge game. 5,300 tickets sold for the game at the Tallaght Stadium. We are going to talk to the Irish manager, Vera Pauw, next.
Off the Ball on News Talk.
Have a great